Good afternoon, sir. Today, I cadet Nakul Meena, school number 6129 of class 8C, has created a podcast episode on the civics issue of India voting rights. So, first of all, what is voting? Voting is a fundamental right enshrined in the Indian Constitution. However, there are still challenges that prevent many citizens from exercising this right. One major issue is voter suppression, particularly among marginalized communities such as Dalits and Muslims. Another challenge is the prevalence of fake news and misinformation during election campaigns, which can sway voters and undermine the democratic process. Like on the voting day 25 November, we have seen that police caught a fake voting campaign and they cased a file against them. In this podcast episode, we will explore the current state of voting rights in India, including these challenges and potential solutions to ensure that every citizen has an equal opportunity to participate in the democratic process. What are the key issues in this issue? One of the key issues facing Indian voters is the lack of access of polling stations, particularly in rural areas. This can make it difficult for many citizens to cast their vote, especially if they have to travel long distance or face other barriers such as disability or poverty. The use of electronic voting machines (EVMs) has been a controversial issue in recent years, with some critics alleging and they are vulnerable to tampering and hacking. This has led to calls for more transparency and accountability in the electoral process as well as greater oversight of EVMs. Voter turnout in India has been historically low, with many citizens feeling disillusioned with the political process and disengaged from the democratic system. This has led to calls for greater civic education and awareness raising campaigns to encourage more people to participate in elections and make their voice heard. The issue of voter ID cards has also been a contentious one, with some critics arguing that the requirement for photo identification can be a barrier for many marginalized communities who may not have access to the necessary documentation. This has led to calls for alternative alternative forms of identification that are more inclusive and accessible for all citizens. The issue of voter suppression is also a concern in India, with reports of intimidation, violence, and discrimination against certain groups of voters. This highlights the need for greater protection of voting rights and stronger enforcement of laws against voter suppression. The role of money and influence in elections is another challenge facing Indian voters, with concerns about the impact of corporate funding and political lobby on the democratic process. This has led to calls for greater transparency and accountability in campaign finance as well as measures to limit the influence of money in politics. The issue of online voting has also been raised as a potential solution to some of the challenges facing Indian voters, such as access and convenience. Convenience. However, there are concerns about the security and integrity of online voting system and the need to ensure that all citizens have equal access to this technology that all citizens have equal access to this technology. Finally, the issue of representation is a key aspect of voting rights in India, which calls for greater diversity and inclusivity in the political system. This includes the need for more women, minorities, and marginalized communities to be represented in elected positions, as well as measures to ensure that their voices are heard and their rights protected. Thank you.